Good morning everyone, and just to say today we are looking at Google Docs and Google Slides. So let's have a look, just run through these details. I'm recording it so it can be watched back later. Please mute your mic, have your camera off, use the chat for any questions, and I will pause a few times to review it. So today we're talking about Docs and Slides, which sit within G Suite in Glow. So we have access to all of these packages. And as I've discussed before, G Suite Collaboration is the really powerful tool. It allows you full collaboration that's live within Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Jamboard. And it's fully shareable, so you can get people to join in on your work. And it's much easier than sending multiple versions of something. It automatically updates. And once they have access to it, until you remove that access, they can always get back to it. To the drive. One of the nicest things about G Suite is you don't need to worry about where things are being saved to. We have unlimited storage, and it's free to create workspaces and shared drives for students and staff. So, reaching the G Suite within Glow. I'm sure you know this, but just to run over it, this is the same procedure for staff and pupils. So if you're supporting a pupil with it, it's the same procedure they go through. You log into Glow using your username that starts GW, and then you click on the Google Drive tile to open Google Drive. Okay, and I've circled that over here in red. If you can't see a Google Drive tile, then you can add it from the app library. You may find it's further down your Glow page. And you can, of course, create your own tile page by clicking on the little person and personalizing it. So if you find you're using things a lot, you can move them up. So once you're in Drive, it will show you all your files, but up in the corner here, you have what we call the waffle. As you remember, Google like their food acronyms, and this is called the waffle. I suppose it resembles a waffle in a way, but it's 9 dots in a little grid. And when you click on that, it brings up all the apps that you can use, and you can use that to access Docs and Slides. So I'll take you to that live in a minute. When we go into Google Docs, it opens up on templates. Now that can help to quickly provide some formatting and give you some different options for how you want to use Google Docs. And I'll run through this morning lots of tools and tips. As I've said, it's autosave, but I'll show you how to choose where. You can use voice typing in Google Docs. It's one of the most powerful tools that Google have. There's the share button. I'll show you more about that. We'll talk about extensions. There's also version history, which is quite useful, the activity dashboard, and I'll give you a quick tour of the menus. So let's go and have a look at that just now. I'll just come out of my slides. Okay, so I have opened up along here some of these tabs. So if we go to Glow first of all, and we just walk through what you would need to do. So you open up Glow and you have Google Drive here. You can also go through Google Classroom, but today let's talk about going through Google Drive. Whenever you open a Google product, you'll see the waffle in the top right corner. So when I open my Google Drive, here you can see the Google Apps waffle. And if I click on that, it brings up all these little icons. And if I scroll down, you can see even more of them. So this shows you all the things that we have access to in Google. So the first one is your account, and that just gives you your details. You can do things in there like you can change your picture, but it also just makes sure that you're logged into the right account. Okay, so if you click on that, it takes you into your Google account. And everything you do within Google is linked to that. Okay, so we'll just go back to the waffle again. Then you've got Drive, which is what I'm in just now. That's where everything gets saved. It's like an online pen drive, basically. Then we have the Classroom, which we've done some training on before, and that is where the children have their portal, basically, to access their work. Today we're going to talk about Docs. There's also Sheets. We're going to talk about Slides in a moment, but you can also get Calendar, Meet, Sites, which is a website builder. You've got your contacts as well. And if you go down, you've also got Forms and Jamboard and a few other things here, Groups and Vault, that we don't use so much. But just for now, let's have a look at Docs. So when you click on Docs, it will open up. I've already opened a tab, so it'll be a bit quicker today. So it brings you up to this templates page. Now, templates are actually quite useful, and they're getting more useful. They're quite good at updating these and bringing up new ones. So you can just click on blank and it will take you to a blank new page, but you might find that actually you want to use either your recent documents. So if you scroll down, it will show you all your recent documents that you've used that are docs. Won't bring up any other kinds of file just now, but it brings up everything that you've got in there. Then we have the templates at the top. So if we click on template gallery, just give it a moment. Now you'll see it's got two bars at the top. It's got South Lanarkshire Council. At the moment, we haven't got any specific South Lanarkshire templates. And then it's got general. So if I click on general, the top one is education. And you might find that if you're assigning work to students, or you wanted to create a file for students to use, this would actually be a quite useful format for you. So there's a few different formats here. You can see there's some that are just text-based. There's some that use images as well. So we've got a couple of essays. We've got a few reports there. And then as you go down, it's also got a book report. It's got a note-taking format, which might be useful if you were showing children how to set out taking notes. It's also got lesson plans if you wanted to type up a lesson plan. Class notes if you're making notes for a course that you're running. And then we also have letter formats, particularly in primary school. We quite often teach letter writing, and it would be useful to have a look at the different formats, see if the children can see what kind of features there are. And then you have other things like you have CVs, and you have fact files, recipe pages, project proposals, all kinds of things here. Brochures, if you're doing a travel topic, you might want to create a brochure. But there's lots of nice, oh yeah, and there's newsletters as well. They're quite good. There's lots of nice different formats, and they get updated quite frequently. So it's good to have a go and have a wee browse sometimes. But those could be useful to children, and they could be useful to yourself as well. Okay, so we'll just go and have a look at how you work with a blank document. Okay, so if I click on blank, it just opens up, as you would imagine, a blank page for you to have a look at. And we'll just talk about where everything is on that page. Now, I'm sure most of you have used Word before, and there are a lot of similarities between Word and Docs. But there are also some features on here that are not so accessible in Word. And because it's an online-based program, things like the sharing are much easier. Okay, so I'll just let this load up a little bit. Apologies for the delay. Here we are. Okay, so you can see across the top, you've got the title of your document. Because it's brand new, it's untitled at the moment. Then you've got your menus here, which are quite similar to the Word menus. But over here, you've got some different buttons. This one here is the activity dashboard. I'll show you that once it's loaded. This one here is for commenting. And this is the share button, which is in all G Suite products. And we'll talk about how we use those in a moment. So there's a number of things that you might find you need to do in a doc. Now, Docs is quite a simple package. It's quite streamlined. For that, I think it's very good for kids in that there's not too many things to get distracted with, and it's got quite a clean look. But it does mean that it's not as adaptable as slides, for instance. So I would say Docs is best suited to when you just want a text document or a text document with only a couple of images. It doesn't handle images and shapes and things as well as slides, but I'll show you more of that later. So if I type in my book report as my title here, just give it a moment to catch up. Okay. You can see it's gone straight in there. And if that's my title and I want the document to be called that, when I click up here to put in the title, it just does it automatically for me. Now, I wanted to talk to you about where things save to. So everything saves automatically and it will just go into your drive. But if I click on the folder icon here, it brings up where that file is actually saving to, and you can change that very easily. Okay, so you can see, oh, having trouble this morning. There we are. Okay, so it's showing the root menu of where everything is saved, and I can go back. I can put new folders in. Let's see, within my drive. I could add a folder. I can make a new folder. My book work. Okay, give it a wee title. So I've created a new folder in there, and I can just click move here, and then I know where it is. Okay, and it tells you what you've done. If you didn't want to do that, you can undo it, you can dismiss that. Okay, so it just tells you that it's done it. But that's all you have to do to save something. It's really simple. And if you forgot to do that, it's going to save automatically onto your G drive anyway, and then you can go and have a look. Right, so let's have a look at these menu tabs here. So you've got all the obvious things. You've got sharing, making a new document. You can also go straight into your other Google Suite products. You can open up a document you've already got. You can make a copy of this document. You can download anything that you wanted from a different file. So if you want to download it into Word, you can convert it very quickly. You can make it into a PDF. You can turn it into a web page, all kinds of different formats for you to save it. You can email it to someone as attachments. Now, version history is very helpful. It will show you every change that's been made to the document. So if you were creating something with a group and they were sharing the same document and you realize that someone had deleted something they shouldn't have, you can just go back to the previous version and everything is time-stamped. So if I wanted to go back to where it doesn't have the title, I can just restore it very quickly, very easily. So you don't have to worry about undos or anything like that. It's very quick and simple to find new versions. And it saves it every time there's a change made. So if someone had gone in and accidentally deleted the paragraph or had changed something that they shouldn't have, you can see exactly what was done and recover it really quickly. So that's very helpful. And especially when you are using documents in a shared way, it's really helpful to be able to do that. Sorry, it's just gone back. Bear with me a moment, it's just being a little bit slow. So someone's just put up, can you edit a PDF file on Google Docs? No, you can't, but I will show you a way to get to a PDF editor, and I'll show you some things you can do with PDFs on Google Slides as well. So I'll come back to you on the PDF file if that's okay. But there isn't a PDF editor within Google Docs, if that's what you were asking. Okay, so let's go back into a blank document. Okay, so loading back up again. So that's all within the file menu. And that's everything that you can do in terms of managing that file. Let's just double check. Yeah, so we've got downloading, emailing as attachments. Now, some of these are grayed out because it's still loading up, and I haven't made any changes yet. You can email collaborators. So if it had several people sharing the document and you wanted to email them all and say, can you have a look at the changes I've made, you can do that. You've got language settings. Page setup is in here. It took me a little while to master that. So if you want to turn it into landscape format, for instance, that's here. And print is on this menu as well. So yeah, you can change from portrait to landscape. You can change your paper size, paper color, all of those things. So if you did have a student who struggled to see on white, who has visual stress or dyslexia, then you can change the color. You can do all of those things in here. Okay, now in the edit menu, it's quite simple. You've got undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, pasting without formatting. So if you just want the text, but you don't want it in the color it's in or the font it's in. You can do that. You've got a select all, and you've got a find and replace. So for instance, if you were doing a document and you wanted to change the name of the student, you can go in, find and replace. That's very simple to do there. Views, by default, you're in print layout, so it looks like it will when it prints. But you can change that. You've also got some options here about how you're using it. So at the moment, I'm in edit mode. You can see up here there's a little pencil because I'm an editor for this document. If it wasn't my document, you could do suggesting. So for instance, if a pupil sent something to me and I'm editing it, I can put my suggestions on little tabs and it won't go straight in. If you just want someone to view something, you don't want them to be able to edit it, then they would just be a viewer. If they were just doing a proofread for you, perhaps, you can do that. And you've also got full screen in the view there. There's equation toolbars, there's section breaks, lots of things you can use there. Insert menu. This one is probably where I go most often. You can insert images. Now, as with Google, everywhere, you've got a Google search embedded. So if you click search the web here, I don't have to come out of the document. I don't have to go and open another tab to go and look for images. This is really helpful for kids, that they're not getting lost between tabs. So if I wanted to go and find an image of a cat, I can just type in cat, and I know that it's going to find free to use images. Nothing under copyright will pop up in the search. So it's going to go and find me some images, and then I can just click on it, and I just have to double click and it should just pop in. Here we go. So it's really simple to pick up images and things, not difficult at all. So you can do that with images from the web. If you had an image on your computer you wanted to use, you can go into Drive. It will search just straight into your Drive and it will just look for pictures. If you had Google Photos set up, then you can use that. So for instance, if you'd taken some pictures of a school event and you want to put that all on and they were saved into Google Photos, you can get straight into there. If you know something is a web page, for instance, if you wanted something from the school blog, you can go there. If you want to take a picture, then you can do that on the camera. I'm using a Chromebook this morning. All Chromebooks have cameras on them. Most laptops do as well. So if you're using Google Docs on either of those, you can do that. Then you've got table, which just makes a little table that you can put words into. You can choose the size of it and it expands as you wish. You've got drawings. You can make a new drawing or you can upload one from the Drive. Charts. You can pull a chart in from a sheet. So if you had some data that you were already using, you can go and collect that. Then you've got horizontal line if you just want to put a line across your page. Footnotes, if you wanted to add some footnotes at the bottom, you've got all of that. And then you've got all the usual things, special characters, equations. Your headers and footers are in here, your page numbers, you can make page breaks, you can embed links. We've also got a commenting feature here. So for instance, if you are working on this document with someone else and you want to do some comments, it will pop up a little box and it's automatically recorded on your account. So you can put, do you like this photo? Put that in it as a comment. There you go. And it's now attached to that part of the document. Okay. And then if someone else came in and they wanted to have a look at that and they were like, yeah, I do like that photo, then you can resolve it. You can hide the discussion if it's finished. Okay. So that's commenting, which is really helpful when it comes to editing and collaborating on something. We've also got bookmarking. So if there's a point in the document you want to come back to, you can do that. So for instance, if it's a large document, you might find that there's one place that you're working on and you want to remember that you don't have to scroll to page 17 every single time, then you can do that. And you can make a table of contents as well quite easily. So it's got some smart little tools there. Much the same as Microsoft Word, just a slightly different layout. When it comes to formatting, you've got all your usual choices here. You've got paragraph styles, you've got aligning, line spacing, columns, bullets and numbering. Again, you've got your headers and footers and page numbers is in this menu too. And if you wanted to clear formatting, start again, That's quite useful. Sometimes children get a bit carried away with fonts and colours and things. You can always clear formatting, so you just go back to the text. Now, in tools is some of the more powerful things. So we've got spelling and grammar, which is the usual spelling and grammar check. You can have a personal dictionary, which goes with your Google account. So if there's words that you're using a lot, or if there's a child who's got some technical words that they're needing to put into their dictionary, you can do that. You've got a word count option. You can review your edits. So if someone's done comments and you want to go back and review them, it will just stack up the comments for you. You can compare two documents. So it will ask you which document you want to use it with, and then it will start analysing the content. So if you wanted to check whether something was a very close copy, you could do that. Now, the Explore button is really helpful. Explore is like a little suggestion book, basically. So it's a way of creating smarter documents. So when you're working on something, it will come up with suggestions. So if I was working on my document here, see if it's going to respond to me. There we go. Okay. This is my cat. She is 8 years old. Oh. It's jumped. Hang on. Sorry, try that again. This is my cat. She is 8 years old. Oh, gremlins in the system today. Okay, I'm going to close Explore for a minute because I think I've confused it. Okay, so Explore is there to help you when you're creating something. It's a little bit smart. There we go. Okay, so it's now put my typing in. Okay, there we are, caught up. Okay, so yeah, Explore is useful when you're formatting something and you want to be able to make it look a little bit nicer. It comes up with really good suggestions for you. But I'll show you a bit more with that in slides. I think it's more useful in slides than it is in docs. Okay, so that's Explore. We've got linked objects. So if you drop something in that is from another file, it will connect them so that every time you update things, it will update automatically, which I think is one of the nicest features about G Suite. It's all connected up. You've got your dictionary in there. You can translate the document, and then voice typing, which is probably one of the best features in Google Docs. So I'm going to switch this on. The first time you use it, it needs access to your microphone, but then once you've used it a few times, it just does it. My cat is called Fluffy. And she is my first cat, full stop. So you can see it's pretty accurate. It's very simple to use, and that's a tremendously powerful tool, especially for children with dyslexia or dyslexic tendencies. It just takes the pressure off from the typing and allows them to get the content of what they're doing down. You could let them do that for a first draft and then they could work on it after that, or you could just let them use it all the time if it's someone who's really struggling with getting written work down. It's really powerful, and you can use that easily on any device that's got a microphone. Google Docs will let you do that. Okay, so that's really helpful. Voice typing is definitely one of my favorite features. You've got script editors, so that's HTML things. Probably wouldn't use that much. You've got your preferences, your accessibility settings. So you can go and have a look in there at what you've got set up in terms of screen readers. You've got screen magnifiers. You can use those for children who've got visual problems or for children with dyslexic tendencies. Screen readers are tremendously helpful. So that's really good. Then you've got add-ons. You can go and have a look at add-ons and you can add things in. That works like Chrome extensions. So you can go and have a look at that. And you've got your help button, Now, the help button in Google is really helpful. You've got Docs Help, so if there's something you're looking at in Docs and you're like, how does that work? I don't really understand it. You can go and look it up. But training is also very, very helpful. And I would recommend, if you're someone who's getting to know Google Docs and you're finding it difficult transitioning over from Microsoft Office, it's very good because it's set up just for that. So it's got a switching from Microsoft tab, which is very helpful, and just answers a lot of your questions. So it gives you a little guide. You can go in and you can look up any of the Microsoft packages. You can check how this works. So you've got a switching from Docs to Word. You've got a switching guide here. And it just shows you, highlights the differences. And if there's things that you would have done before in Word, you can just go and see how to do that in Docs. So I would say that's a really helpful button, the training button. And that's available in all G Suite products. So that's under help, just to remind you there, training. You've also got, if there's a problem or you've noticed a copyright issue, you can report it directly. And you've got keyboard shortcuts too, so Control V, Control C, Control X, those all work. You can set up other ones as well. Okay, so that's kind of a tour around Docs, and it's quite simple to use, quite straightforward, but quite powerful and quite easy. As I said, I was going to show you the activity dashboard if you haven't looked at this before. It shows you who's looking at the document. It will show you over time who's looked at it. You can also track comments. So if it was a shared doc and you wanted to see who's been in and worked on it, you can do that quite easily. You can see who it's been shared with. And you can set up privacy settings. If it's something you're working on and you're like, actually, I don't want people to see what I'm looking at, then you can do that. And you can take out your own view history if you need to. So that's Activity Dashboard. That's very helpful. Now, the share button I said we would talk about a bit more. The share button is really useful. Now, in order to share, I've got to give it a title because I came out and made a new document. So there we go. Name before sharing. There we go. Just give it a second. So the share button is really useful within Google Drive because rather than having to email things to people and then as soon as you make any little correction, having to email them a new version, if you share something with somebody directly, then they can always access it, whatever changes are made, and you can always access it too. And it means you don't have several versions of a document, you just have that document and you're just accessing it in real time. So it's much easier than having lots of different versions of a Word document. When you go in, you can add people now. This is connected up to our Glow addresses, so it will easily connect up to your address book. And you can decide whether you want people to be editors or viewers or just be able to comment. You can add a little message saying, could you just have a look at the last paragraph? I've revised everything else, but that part I think needs work. And then you can send it off to them. Now the cog in the corner lets you decide how the settings work. So in this one, the default is that editors can change permissions and share, and that viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print and copy. If you don't want them to be able to download, print and copy, just take it off. And if you don't want people to be able to change permissions and share, you can do that. And that's the same in all G Suite products. Okay, so that will send that one off. And then that means that there's two people collaborating on this document. So if you create something and you want people to work on it, you can do that by sharing. If you make it within Google Classroom, it works slightly differently. But I've gone over that in my Google Classroom course, so you can have a look at that again if you want to revise that. So I think that's as far as I'm going to go with Google Docs this morning. It's quite a simple package, but very easy to use. So let's go back and have a look at my slides and just check if I have covered everything I said I would. So auto saving, voice typing, share button, extensions we touched on, version history, activity dashboard, and the menus. Yeah, okay, I'm happy I've done that. Okay, so let's go and have a look at Google Slides next. So I'll just bring this up for you. Just give it a second. Right, okay, so Google Slides. Now, when we open it again, it will open up in the Google Slides templates, which again has another useful bank of educational templates, and it keeps growing. They've revised it quite a lot in the last few months, and that will keep happening. And there has been talk about allowing you to set your own templates up as well. So you can see where it says South Lanarkshire Council. I think what the plan is that you will be able to upload something as a template, and then it would sit there. So that if you had, for instance, like a school template, if you had a headered paper, for instance, or if you had a newsletter format that you like to use that you already personalized a lot, you can stick that into templates and then it's always there. You don't have to go back to the document and take all the changes out and set it up again. So that would be quite good. Right, let's have a look. What are we going to look at in Google Slides this morning? So I'm going to run you through some tools and tips for Google Slides as well. Again, it's auto-saving. I'll talk to you about voice typing in the slides. It's slightly different. We've got a share button, extensions, version history, activity dashboard, much the same as in Google Docs. Okay, so let's just come out of this and we'll go and have a look at Google Slides. So again, you would go back to Google Drive and you've got the waffle up here. And when you click on the waffle, you can go to slides from here. Okay, so here's my slides page and it comes up with the templates again. Now there's some nice templates and it also has my recent ones that I've looked at. Okay, if you are a teacher and you've got children's work in your Google Drive, you can also go and look for things that are not owned by you. So if you wanted to go and have a look at how they're getting on with their latest book report presentations, then you can go and have a look there. Okay, so let's have a look in the template gallery. I think Google Slides is more adaptable and therefore it's got perhaps more exciting templates than Google Docs. Okay, so for education, the ones they've got up just now, we've got a lesson plan, you've got a book report, you've got a field trip report, you've got flashcards that you can make. Then we've got science projects, science fairs, certificates. We've also got, further down, we've got personal things. So you've got presentations, how to present an idea, photo albums. You've even got a wedding template here, recipe books, make a portfolio, a lookbook, which is like, I suppose it's like a floor book in digital form almost. You can make party invites, yearbook template. You've got a recipe showcase. Then you've got various professional ones. So if you were running an enterprise project, you might find there were things in here that would be useful for running a company at school. You've got case studies as well, employee certificates, all sorts of things. What you'll find is that actually if you want to make a very a very photo-rich or image-rich document, you might actually be better to do it in slides than in docs. For instance, I made a document that was a photo guide to how to use a Chromebook for parents, and it was actually much easier to do it within slides because it handles images better. So let's have a look at how slides actually work. So if we open up the blank slides, and we'll just go and have a little look. Here we go. Okay, so it opens up a little bit like PowerPoint, because obviously there are a lot of similarities between PowerPoint and slides. Because I'm working mainly in G Suite, I'm exclusively using Google Slides now, because it sits much better in Classroom and it's much easier to use between Google packages. But PowerPoint is still a really worthy package. It still works well. I just find that because I'm working through Google Classroom constantly, it's easier to stay with the Google products. And then I don't have any formatting issues or anything like that. And also, I think the way it looks is quite slick. It looks quite professional and quite modern. And I think maybe PowerPoint's a little bit behind on that at the moment. So, but you can see there's merit in both of them. Okay, so when you open up, you've got at the side, you've got all of your slides. So as you add slides, they'll be in a list here. Then in the middle, you've got the slide you're working on. And at the side, you've got themes. Okay, now you can close the themes if you don't want to decide on themes just now. And that's taking up part of your valuable screen space. You can just close it. Okay, so let's just have a little look at how these tabs all work across here. So the menus, a lot of the features are the same as they are in Docs. You've got new, open, import slides. You make a copy if you want to change things. Downloading, you can download things. Oh, just a moment. Sorry. I've obviously clicked on something I shouldn't have there. There we go. Right, just go back to that menu. Right, okay, so in the file menu, apologies, just a little glitch here. Okay, so when you want to download it, you can download it as a PowerPoint if you needed to. You can download it as a PDF. That's quite useful if you've made a document for printing, or if you've made a document that you want to then put up on a website or on the school app. It's quite useful to have it as a PDF because then people can't edit it by mistake. Plain text, if you weren't using anything particularly image heavy, you can set things as an image. Sometimes you want to send just a photo of that slide. That can be useful. Okay, so, and you've got the usual kind of options here, and page setup as well. If you are creating something that you want to print on A4 and you want to set it up as an A4 page, you can do that. You can go into custom and you can set up an A4 page in here. And you can do it in inches, centimeters, points, or pixels. Okay, but that's quite handy to know. And I'll show you some ways you can apply that in a moment. Then you've got your edit functions. So you've got undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, paste without formatting, delete, duplicate, select all, find and replace. So all fairly straightforward. Viewing, presenting the screen works kind of like PowerPoint. So you've got presenting. And then we've got the master and the grid view. Motion, I think is about doing the transitions. I haven't used that one much myself. Then we've got the zoom, so you can change the view. Ruler, we've got the guides, so if you want vertical guides and horizontal guides, you can put it on. Snap to grid, snap to guides, lots of different ways of doing it. Show the speaker notes. Speaker notes are at the bottom here. And full screen if you wanted to make it full screen, so you don't have all the tabs at the top. It's easier. Then you've got insert. You've got options that you would expect. So you have usual image options. And again, you've got the search from web button. So if you wanted to get the kids to look for images of World War II, for instance, they can do a search within slides. They don't have to open up another tab, which is very helpful. And then you've got text box, you've got audio, video, shapes, tables, charts, diagrams, word art, lines, all kinds of things in here. And you've got the commenting options again. You can have a new slide, you can give the slides numbers, all sorts of things. You can make books with slides, you can do all sorts of things. And we'll just have a look at that in a moment. Okay, so we've got formatting. It's grayed out at the moment because I haven't put anything in, but you've got the usual text options. You can add tables, you can put borders and lines and things, you can add images, formatting images rather. Then we've got the slide options. Duplicate slide is very helpful. If you've got a layout that you really like, you can just duplicate a slide and then change what's in it. Deleting slide, you can skip a slide if you wanted to change the way that the slides are presenting, but you don't want to delete it. So it'll just kind of mute that slide if you like in the PowerPoint. You can change your background, you can apply different layouts, you can add transitions, you've got editing the master slide, and you've got changing themes. So there's all the things you would expect really in here. Then you've got how to arrange slides. You've got tools, and you've got add-ons. Now in the tools, you've got your spelling stuff. You've got the explore button, which I said we'd have another look at in a minute, because it's a bit more fun to use in slides than it is in docs. We've got linked objects, dictionaries, Q&A, history. So if there's questions and answers attached to the slides, you can have that as well. You can voice type your speaker notes. So what you could do is you could run your slides, and as you're doing that, you can put voice type on so that you can add your speaker notes through voice typing. I see I've got a few things about sound bites. I'll come back to that in a moment in the chat. We've got preferences and accessibility settings, and then there's the activity dashboard again. And in your add-ons, you've got things that you can add on, and you've got your help. Again, you've got your training. So if you're struggling with something that you used to do in PowerPoint and you want to be able to do it in slides, then you can go and look for it in there. Okay. And then when you're in your present options, you've got present view. So you can have it presenting with the Q&A and the speaker notes. You can present from the beginning. And then you've got your share button. You've got the same options as we had on docs. But again, I would have to title it. Right, I'm going to very quickly build a very simple set of slides, and then I can show you a bit more. Skip. Oh, it's got stuck now. Hang on a moment. There we go. Okay, right, okay. So I'm just going to build a very quick set of slides. Google Slides. So I'm building a set of slides about Google Slides when it catches up. So you can pop the title into there, and then when you go up here, it will take that title again. And I know it's where it's saving because I could click in there if I wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to add a slide, and I want a layout on this one. I think I'll put in this bit here. Yeah, I'll use this one. Okay, so you can click in the boxes to add text. Okay. And then you can come over here, you can add an image. Now I've got one on my computer, so I'm just going to go and upload one. Took a screenshot earlier. Apologies, I think the rain's making my internet go slower. I swear it makes a difference. Here we go. Okay, so I've got some screenshots that I used. Oh. Downloads. Screenshot. Oh. Sorry. It's lagging on me. I'm being impatient. Okay. So I can open a screenshot, and it's going to drop it in here. You can see it's telling me it's busy doing something, creating an image. Okay. Now, you can see at the bottom here, I'm just going to close the image search bar. My little explore button has lit up yellow. It's because it's thinking it doesn't look very pretty anymore, and it would like to help me make it look a bit nicer. So if I click explore, it's going to come up with some different ways I could lay out my information. So it's auto-created it from what's in the slide. So you can see it's suggesting that I take the picture and put it over to one side. So I'm just going to let it do that. And it was frozen up on me. Okay, well, hopefully it will do that in a minute. The Explore button will change it for me. It's all got very stuck suddenly. Okay, so I'm just going to go and have a look at the chat. So talking about sound bites, yes, that is a bit of an issue with slides. It's not something I tend to use very often, so I haven't played with it very much, but I believe there's a problem with using audio, especially when you convert from PowerPoint. You can't transfer the audio over. So there's a number of options. You could either use Screencastify to record your slides and do a voiceover over the top, or you could, I don't think there's a way of embedding an audio file, unfortunately, at the moment, and it is something they're working on because it has been suggested a lot. So at the moment, I think the answer is no, you can't do that in slides, which is definitely one limiting factor. But you can use slides and make a Screencastify and record yourself over the top. Other than that, I think that's probably your limit at the moment. Now, I think my screen is completely frozen up, unfortunately. So I'm going to go back to my slides here. Okay, so I've run through all of these, voice typing into slides. Oh yes, the other thing I discovered this morning, if you are on a Chromebook, because it's within slides, it says you can only voice type into the speaker notes, but you might want to voice type directly onto a slide if you had a child who really wasn't able to type up what they wanted to say, and they wanted to put it onto the slide. What they can do is they can use the dictation button on a Chromebook. So if you have accessibility menu open and you have the accessibility settings, you can just switch dictation on, and then you can use dictation to speak. So you click on here, click to add text. There we go, it's woken up again. I can voice type using the accessibility tools. Just give it a moment. There we go. Okay, I can voice type using the accessibility tools. So you can do that if they've got a Chromebook. If they're not using a Chromebook, then you can only voice type into the speaker notes. So you've got your tools here. Voice type speaker notes. Using Google Slides, I would suggest looking through the templates, full stop. Some of them are very useful, full stop. There we go. So you can see that you can do that quite easily. Now, going back to the chat, Screencastify info, I'm going to put up, I believe on the SLC Squared website that was launched a few weeks ago, they've now got a Screencastify video. Screencastify is really easy to use. It's not a Google product, but it connects well with Google, particularly with Classroom. So if you either search for Screencastify or you go and have a look at the SLC Squared site, I'm going to put a link onto our Classroom as well. It's really, really useful. One limitation I have discovered, which I hadn't really appreciated, is that you need to be on a Chromebook to get yourself signed up to it. So if you don't have a Chromebook at home, it's something I would definitely prioritize doing when we're back at school, is getting a Chromebook one day, sign yourself up to Screencastify. Once you've done it and it's on your Google ID, and you've got it set up on your account, then you can access it from other things. But you need to be on a Chromebook to set up the account in the first place. So I will put some Screencastify info in our Google Classroom this afternoon. Hopefully that answers that. So I think I have run through everything that I was hoping to get through today. I hope that has been useful to you. If you have any further questions, please pop them into the chat. But I think that's everything that I was going to cover. What I will do is I will pop this Google form link into the chat. And then if you could fill out the feedback for me, that would be really helpful. If anyone is coming along to this afternoon, I'm going to give you some different ideas for how to set up lessons in Google Classroom. But I think that rounds up everything I was hoping to get through today. And as I said, I'll just pop this into the chat, and I will email it to you as well if you don't get a chance to click on it in the chat. Here we are. There we go. That's the feedback link posted. Okay, thank you very much. And if you're coming back this afternoon, I'll see you then.